in the first half. They got a little bit better in the fourth quarter. I mean, at one point in time, I thought Kevin Love was actually playing for the Knicks, how bad he was, and how many times he was just bricking 1-3 after another. He did his best Al Horford impersonation last night at Madison Square Garden. He was terrible. And finally, Spoelstra put him to the bench, realizing how bad he was. So I look at it. I never really thought Miami was. I always thought the Knicks would find a way in the fourth. I wasn't really, honestly, Keith, all that nervous.
So I was worried, and I was watching the game with my older son, Austin. Let him stay up for it. Alex had gone to sleep. And when Duncan Robinson hit, whether it was like his second or his third three in the fourth quarter, came off a screen, coming this way, hit the shot. And I think that cut the lead to 3 at that point. You always talk about getting over the hump, right? And like teams who fight back from double digits, typically they get right to that line and usually never cross that line and usually lose. So that was the thing that was in the back of my mind. I'm like, all right, we should be good. But Jimmy Butler hadn't done much. And I turned to Austin. I'm like, dude, I really hope that Jimmy Butler doesn't try to take this over. Luckily, he didn't. 19 points, played 43 minutes. And I mean, he played fine, but it wasn't a Jimmy Butler playoff-esque performance. I was a little worried at that point. Yes, I was, but I'm so happy the Knicks win. I'm so happy we get a game 6. I'm so happy that their team is still going to be out there on the floor. And you know what, Moose, I don't know if I told you this. I think the Knicks wanted it more last night.
So stupid.
The who wanted it more jokes on social media yesterday were my favorite thing.
Right. No, I
think you got caught in one on Twitter too, because I got caught in one on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Sharapan that started it.
I think he did, yeah.
And then Kelly in Vegas hopped on. A whole bunch of other people hopped on. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think Kelly, yes, Sharapan and Kelly. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think Miami's not going to shoot the ball as poorly as they did last night in a game 6 on Friday night.
Yeah.
The Knicks did a better job last night. They out-rebounded Miami. They were better from behind the arc. They only shot 38%, but better there. They're still a terrible free throw shooting team and shot 72%. But you saw Mitchell Robinson hit some as they were fouling him late in the game, and he had 3 of 4 free throw attempts. So good on Mitchell Robinson when Miami was making that run in the fourth quarter. Jalen, I thought Julius Randle played, efficiently. He was 7 of 13, finished the game with 24 points. There was a point in time in that second quarter when he was sitting on the bench. And he came back in the game about the 4-minute mark of the first half, when the Knicks went on that run and started the second quarter 7 of 7 from the floor, and everyone thought, oh, here we go. Well, I mean, they were going to come back down to earth. I think they missed their next 6 or 7 shots as well. But Miami just could not knock down a 3 if their life depended on it. I mean, they were just dreadful behind the arc, and it's not like they had bad looks. I mean, they had wide open looks, and they just couldn't hit the ball a broadside of a barn last night. So we'll see if that changes. But those that are going to look at it and say, well, I mean, that's the way Miami shot the ball during the course of the regular season. They weren't a good 3-point shooting team. They've been better and were great against Milwaukee, and were really good through the first 4 games of the series, or not great and weren't great in game 4, but 3 of the 4 games, first 4 games, they were pretty good knocking the shot down from the outside. Maybe Miami comes back down to earth here, and maybe they have another poor shooting night on Friday night down in Miami. I mean, that's what it's going to take here for this Knicks team. They did a better job, better defensively. Brunson was heroic, playing 48 minutes, as was Quentin Grimes playing 48 minutes. He did his thing. They were better on the offensive and defensive glass. They need to be. Mitchell Robinson finally flashed last night. There were a lot of things to like. There really were. I thought the adjustments by Spoelstra were a little bit stronger. I thought, though, the team, and when you look at the efficiency of the team, the Knicks were the better team last night after the opening quarter, which they were dreadful. But for the best last 3 quarters of that game last night, they were by far the better team.
And Spoelstra went with the Hack-a-Mitch scenario, like game plan in the fourth quarter, and it actually really didn't work. What did Mitchell Robinson end up going? It was either 3 for 4 or 5 for 6 from the free throw line. So, listen, I think it's a smart move by Spoelstra. It didn't work. Robinson buried some free throws, and love the fact that his teammates were clapping him on like crazy. Last night looked like the Knicks. And again, I'm not trying to get too high or too low. Like I know all of this is a roller coaster. And a lot of the people in our chat would say it too. Like, I know Baby J, one of our loyal guys, Knicks in 6, obviously that can't happen. It would have to be Knicks in 7. I'm not trying to get too high and too low, but the way the Knicks played in the final 3 quarters yesterday, that was the energy, that was the chemistry of this Knicks squad that we had been seeing for the most part during the playoffs and also towards the latter portion of the regular season. If they play like that, they are a game squad in every single tilt that they play in. Now, going back to Miami, game 6 is going to be hard. It's not easy to win on the road. But I would say this, I feel very confident that the Knicks will come with the correct effort. And that's all Moose, I know you and
I mean, it's the playoffs. I would hope
right?
so.
Right? Like you and I differed a little bit on the Julius Randle stuff. Like I blamed Randle a little bit more for the game 4 loss than you did. I went back and watched that, and I think you nailed a lot of it. There was a whole effort issue with the New York Knicks in game number 4. And I may pinned a little bit more on Randle. Maybe I didn't need to. Maybe it was mostly because of the statement that he said at the end, which has now become kind of funny. But if they come with the effort that they had yesterday, I wish they played better in the first, but if they come with that effort, there's no reason they can't win 1 or 2 more games.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I don't think they're winning Friday night.
I know.
I mean, you could look at it all you want. I don't think the Knicks are winning. Like as a lot of people, Knicks fans thought they weren't going to get Miami wasn't going to get out of the Garden last night with a victory. Well, now I have to feel confident that this team is going to go down to Miami because they played one game well, in this series, or really played 3 quarters last night. That to me is a little bit of a bridge too far. I mean, I think Miami will shoot the ball better. I think Butler, you haven't had a Jimmy game yet in this series. And I think at some point in time, he's going to enact his will. Miami, I still think have been the better team in this series. The Knicks played well last night. They gave us all Knicks fans a moment at Madison Square Garden. It was great. Brunson was fantastic, but let's also not forget Jalen Brunson's playing on a bum ankle, played 48 minutes last night. How is that?
He also hit us with the hand motion.
How is that going to look tomorrow night in Miami?
Yeah.
I mean, how is that going to look? I mean, you think Jalen Brunson's going to be able to log and be fresh as a daisy, log in 48 minutes again tomorrow night, and Quentin Grimes log in 48 minutes tomorrow night, and everything's going to be honky-dory? Like, that's just not reality. I mean, that's just not reality. So we can look at it all. Miami deserved to be up 3-1. They almost came back from 19 points down last night and made the Knicks sweat in the 4th quarter with 6 minutes to go, where they were down 4 with the ball in hand. They got it down to 2 at one point in time before Jalen Brunson hit a 3 to make it once again a 5-point game. So, and that was on a night in which Miami shot 30%, right around that number, from behind the arc and had wide open looks. So let's be a little realistic when we look at it. I mean, I give them credit for not having the gentleman's sweep. I give them credit for picking themselves up, dusting themselves off, and giving the Knicks fan a great moment last night at Madison Square Garden. I can't go on the fact that the Knicks are going to win, the next 2 games. I just don't see it. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't. Now, if Miami goes out and shoots 20% from behind the arc on Friday night, Knicks are going to win. I mean, that's it. I mean, the Knicks are going to win, but you could say that about a lot of teams in the NBA. Just look at the Boston Celtics. They shoot, over 40% from 3. They're like 34-2. If they shoot under 40%, they're like 29-28. So a lot of teams live and die by the 3-pointer. The Knicks clearly, Randle played well last night. Brunson was heroic. I get a little concerned about the lemon being squeezed for Jalen Brunson, and how does that look tomorrow night after logging 48 minutes and being under duress the entire game last night? So that would be the concern I'd have for me, because you're going to need Jalen Brunson once again to be heroic on this team. There's limitations to what Josh Hart can do. There's limitations to what Grimes can do. There's limitations to what Barrett can do. There's limitations to what Julius Randle can do. Clearly limitations when you look at a Mitchell Robinson. Brunson's clearly the leader of this team. Now, is Brunson going to be the best player on the court? He's going to have to be. He was last night. Is he going to have to be again for the Knicks to win on the road? And he'll probably have to be even better than he was last night to win Friday night in Miami. Is that possible? We'll find out. I mean, it's great that we have the game. I get it. Am I going into tomorrow night thinking that very, very confident the Knicks are going to win. I am not. I didn't think they'd get off to the poor start that they got, and it was just such a stupid question that Eric Spoelstra got after the first quarter when the Knicks are down by 10. And you dealt with the Knicks emotion early on. I mean, can we look at the scoreboard? The Knicks played lifeless in the opening quarter. I mean, they didn't really come to life in the second quarter. And Spoelstra was like, "Well, we're expecting, more runs." And as this game does go along, it was just, I mean, as someone on the sideline, it was Jared Greenberg. I mean, I like Jared Greenberg. He does a very, very good job, but you have to look at the game scenario. You can't have the question written down before the game. We all thought the Knicks were going to come out as hot as a firecracker. They didn't. They played terrible in the opening quarter. They were down 10. You can't ask the Miami Heat coach about whether or not you withstood the early push from the New York Knicks when the Miami Heat are leading by 10 and the Knicks scored 14 points in the opening quarter. You can't ask that question. Like, come on, think of something else to ask the Miami head coach. That infuriated me last night because that's just someone just going off script and giving me the carte blanche question of a team on the road in a playoff game, a team that, clearly backs up against the wall facing elimination. Let me ask the opposing coach this question. The better question would have been, are you surprised at how lifeless the Knicks look in the opening quarter when you're leading this game by 10? You couldn't have dreamed that scenario up, going into the game last night. Not the fact that you withstood the onslaught from the Knicks. They scored 14 points. It was just so stupid.
Yeah, I can't comment on that one. I didn't have the sound on for the game for the whole first half. I was busy doing other stuff. I just had it
terrible.
On. Yeah, I didn't
see
it.
Question.
See the question. All right. I didn't see it.
Terrible.
Okay. He had a good one in the fourth quarter, though.
Yeah, he does a really good job. It was just a terrible question. That's all. I mean, he does an amazing job, but it was just a terrible question. You can't ask that question.
No. I guess not. Yeah, I didn't see it. So, Jalen Brunson, you want to hear from him?
Sure.
Ernie, roll it.
So your first answer was like, we did that. Now it's on to Game 6. Is that was that the mentality immediately after this game, or did you guys at all celebrate this one?
There's nothing really to celebrate. We obviously won, and I get to see another day. So this is great, but we gotta go get one down there.
You got to get one. It's as simple as that. All right. So you think what would be the key? And I know we'll break this down tomorrow on the show. So the key to tomorrow for the Knicks is defense and effort. Would those be the top two keys? Because I don't think either of these teams you would ever write about or talk about and say, oh my God, they're the best offensive teams. They're both average offensive teams at best. Okay. With 2 or 3 guys on each team that could go off. Jalen Brunson scored you 38. He could do that. We know that Jimmy Butler in the previous round, he can go off. Bam can score and Randall can score. For whatever you want to say about Randall, he's 3rd team all NBA. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program as well. But I would think that whichever team wins the defensive battle on Friday, that's what I would say. Who wins that game? Who plays better defense?
Yeah, but what in terms of what? How would you look at that?
I want my defense, whether it's Knicks or Heat, let's say whoever you're rooting for, more causing more turnovers, more havoc, and better rebounding.
Yeah, well, I think if the Knicks are going to win, I don't know if I drill it down like that. Me personally, I would look at it to where I think if the Knicks got to win, they've got to out rebound Miami. I think there's a number of things the Knicks need to do. You're going to need probably in the neighborhood of 73 to 74 points from Brunson, Randall, and Barrett. Somewhere of that nature, because you're not going to get. IQ's dealing with the ankle injury. He's all likely not going to give it a go. He's in a walking boot the other day. Yeah. So I don't think IQ's going to give it a go. Grimes is limited offensively. Obi's throwing up air balls from the outside. He can finish at the rim. Limitations when you look at Josh Hart. He's a good defender and, he's a good rebounder for a guy his size, but and one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA, but he's limited offensively. So you need your big 3. You're going to need, like I mentioned, Brunson's probably not going to be able to get off the court. So you're going to need those guys to give you 70 plus. You're going to need to out rebound Miami. and hope
God bless.
Miami does. Thank you. Hopefully Miami does have another poor shooting night. I mean, that's the other thing you're gonna have, because Miami's got more shooting, even though it's not great. It's not the Golden State Warriors. It's not the Splash Brothers. They have more outside shooting than the Knicks. Strus, Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler to an extent, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love. They have more guys that are capable of knocking down outside shots consistently than the Knicks do. You're going to need another night in which Miami goes, if Miami shoots 40% from behind the arc Friday night, game, set, match, it's over. I mean, the Knicks are not going to win the game. They're just not good enough. I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of pessimism or negativity. It's just the cold,
I feel like we're
fact.
switching roles here today.
No, I mean, I just think it's just the way that it looks. Miami shot so poorly last night, yet that was a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks needed their lead player to play 48 minutes and score 38 points for them to win a game 5. Now, can it look a lot different Friday night in Miami? It can, but it's hard to envision Miami having the secondary drop off, this time at home, where they're going to get more bench scoring. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable knocking down the outside shot. And the other thing you have yet to see in this series, which would concern me as a Knicks fan, is I've yet to see Jimmy Butler go off. Now, maybe he's limited with the ankle injury. I mean, maybe he's able to give it a go. He doesn't have the same explosion, or he's not going to be nearly as aggressive because he doesn't necessarily trust the ankle like he once did. Oh, that could be true. Does he look like the same player that he did in the Bucs series? He does not. It's not like he's not scoring. I think he dropped in 19 last night, and he's still going to have an impact on the game offensively and defensively. But does he have to still have the same? No, he doesn't. Same explosion to the rim? No, he doesn't. So maybe that's a factor. Maybe he's dealing where his ankle is at 70 or 75%, and there's limitations to what he can do when he's on the court. So all that could be true. I would say it's I'd be surprised if the Knicks went into Miami on Friday night and won the game based on everything that we've taken in through 5 games of this series.
Yeah, I mean, it's a data-driven world that we live in, right? The data would lead you to believe Miami wins game 6 and moves on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Before we move on to the West, Julius Randle, let's see what Julius had to say after the game.
What did you just think of Jalen? 48 minutes and 38, 9, and 7. Just how he kind of carried you guys, especially early.
Yeah, I mean, that's JB. That's what he's been doing all year. Ultimately, at the core of who he is, he's a competitor, and he wants to win. So, he left it all out there tonight and carried us in a big way. So, it takes everybody. He was big time, though.
Why does Julius always look like he just is like leaving the club? He's been out partying like all night. That he always looks tired.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's, well, he did get elbowed, or he did get hit in the eye last night, so it was kind of swelling up during the course of the game as well.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gone through a lot of different emotions in this series. And there's a love-hate relationship that Knicks fans have with Julius Randle, unquestioned, and no doubt about it. But I don't think he deserves all the credit. Like, you can't have it two ways when you look at Randle. If you're going to put all the blame on him, then does he get all the credit when the Knicks win? So, like, that's where I have a problem when, and I look at the limitations of Randle is fine, but everyone's looking at game 4 and saying, well, it was all because of Julius Randle. Now, was it? So then was last night because he was efficient and scored over 20 points and only took 13 shots? Did the Knicks win because of Julius Randle? No, we're all throwing bouquets at the feet of Jalen Brunson, who is an abhorrent defensive player. Let's be perfectly honest. I mean, he played 48 minutes last night, tremendous offensive player, sniffing his hands once again last night. That's all well and good. But he is a brutal defensive player. Now, I love him. I'm not denying that. But you can't have it both ways. That's where, I have the issue where Knicks fans want to, every time they lose, and you'll see it on Friday, I guarantee you. On Saturday, if Randle plays poorly and the Knicks lose, or on Friday night, if that game doesn't go that way and it's a double-digit lead for the Miami Heat, everyone's just going to be ripping on Julius Randle. I mean, and it grows a little bit tired because he is not Michael Jordan and he's not Scottie Pippen. Let's not put him on that level as a player. I never have and I never will, or that caliber of player. You know what I'm talking about? Michael's the greatest of all time, but we're talking about that kind of a superstar. I think Julius deserves a ton of credit for what he's accomplished here in New York, but like I mentioned, is this roster a perfect roster? Let's be honest, it's not. They're limited in a lot of different ways. I love the way that Josh Hart plays. I really do. Is Josh Hart limited as a player? Yes. Let's be honest. Josh Hart is limited as a player. I mean, let's be realistic here. RJ Barrett at times this season has been benched because his defense has been atrocious. So let's look at it. Let's take it in like it is. When we talk about the wide open, the NBA being as wide open this year about teams capable of winning a championship, I have never, and nor will I this year, ever put the Knicks on that kind of a level. We thought about Boston, Philadelphia, Milwaukee in the East. Now you throw the Lakers in the West, Golden State in the West, Denver obviously in the West, Phoenix in the West, if healthy with George and Kawhi Leonard. You thought about them and the Los Angeles Clippers in the West. You never really put the Knicks and on the even at one point in time, I talked myself into the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
And I get that there have been upsets here in this postseason. That's where, like, if they lose to Miami, this season's not a failure for the Knicks. It really isn't. They accomplished a lot this year. They really did. Brunson, reestablished himself as a young, as a superstar in the league. Should be an all-star next year. The culture has changed around the Knicks. They won a playoff series. They embarrassed Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, there are a lot of positives to take away from this series and from this season on the whole. And they were a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Those are really, really good things as far as building block phases for this team. There have been times when you've looked at this series where you see the warts to this team that need to be resolved in order for this team to take their game to another level.
Yeah, there's going to be some things that they got to fix in the offseason. And I'm with you. Like,
they need more shooters. I mean, Keith, you watch it with your sons all the time. You need guys that can knock down the outside shot.
Yeah, they just don't have that.
They don't have that. Not consistently. No. I mean, when you see a guy rise and fire from 3 outside of Brunson, who do you really feel can knock down the outside?
I'm more surprised when Josh Hart's hit. I'm more surprised when RJ Barrett hits. I'm more surprised, all that stuff. And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
No,
not
Brunson
for a team
takes it. Like, I feel like Brunson's going to hit it every single time.
Yeah. And you're right, though. I do wonder if his legs are going to be there tomorrow night.
That's a lot of. I mean, listen.
It's also, I think it's supposed to be warm in Miami tomorrow.
Yes, right. We could talk about the heat. That was the brilliant Jalen Rose comment that he mentioned to Mike.
It's gonna be a little warm.
Who, amazingly enough, took that comment
and then
it must have been off the air and decided to mention it on the air to where then they got mocked out for the better part of 36 hours.
Yeah, I saw that running all over the place. Yes.
Well, ESPN. Did you see the one where they posted the picture where they took off the roof off the arena? No. And they said, this is apparently where ESPN believes Miami plays.
Oh, that was other people making fun of ESPN, not ESPN mocking themselves.
No.
I thought it.
No. Well, heaven forbid. No.
Could you imagine? That would have been great though. ESPN should have done that.
No, nobody does that.
Just make fun of yourself. We make fun of ourselves.
I understand that, but like, they're not going to do that to Greenberg. Listen, I've met Mike on a couple of occasions. It was very, very nice.
Yeah, he was nice to me. I met him twice.
Yeah, so a very nice guy. I don't think they would go and poke the bear or make fun of in that instance. Now, one thing on all these teams where you're coming back home, and whether it be Philadelphia has an opportunity to close out Boston tonight, Miami has an opportunity to close out the Knicks, Golden State has an opportunity to keep their series live against the Los Angeles Lakers, right? So those are the game 6s that we know about right now, right? We've got another one to figure out whether or not, they're whether, and we also have Phoenix, obviously, with an opportunity.
Yeah, Phoenix is trying to stay alive. Yeah.
Stay alive with all these game 6s that we do have. Barkley mentioned something that was a really good point where he was like, listen, if you're in this instance, if you're Miami and you're Philadelphia, the pressure is on you. And that's one thing that we didn't hit upon in the first half hour here, talking about the Knicks and Heat last night, is the pressure's on Miami tomorrow night. The pressure's on Philadelphia tonight.
And the pressure's on the Lakers tomorrow night too, by the way. I know we haven't
yes.
gotten to that game yet, but if the Lakers and we'll talk about it, I know we're gonna step aside for a second, but if the Lakers lose Game 6 tomorrow, they're losing Game 7.
I would agree with that, and we'll get into that. The other factor is Anthony Davis, and we'll get into that. But you do not want to play around if you're Miami going to the Garden for a Game 7.
Nope.
And if you're Philadelphia, you do not want to play around going back to Boston for a Game 7. But we'll get into those other Game 6s. The Knicks have got themselves a Game 6. So do the Golden State Warriors. We'll react to what we saw last night in Golden State, as the Warriors daylighted the Los Angeles Lakers. The health of Anthony Davis, that's going to be a big-time key moving forward as well. We'll get into that. We'll do it next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Thursday right here, Better Sports Network.
We got a question in here from Chill. It said, do we like Deuce Vaughn with his story in the open backfield in Dallas? Think he could have a big pass-catching role?
Hey, buddy. Hey, it's going good. This is Dad. My phone wasn't working. Look at here, man. You want to come to work with me next week?
I wouldn't mind that at all.
So what do you guys think about Deuce Vaughn getting drafted by the Dallas Cowboys? His dad's there. What do you guys think about his potential upside for fantasy?
As far as his dad being there, I think you can take one of two approaches here, and it's the college homer rating their college players in the NFL kind of approach. Either he's a homer, he's too close to it, he can't look at it objectively, or he knows the ins and outs of this player better than anybody else in the entire world, right? So if there is anybody who knows what he can bring to a team, it is his father. There's also it's his father. Can he look past his bias towards his son? I tend to lean towards he works for this team, it's his job. Of course, there's faith in his son, but there's probably a role for him. That being said, I think it's Tony Pollard's backfield. He'll play a complementary role. I don't think we see even RB2 numbers out of him. And there's a real chance they bring Zeke back as well, right? I don't think they're done.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think Zeke still being out there, it's very likely that he returns to Dallas over any other team. I think if you were putting odds on it, you'd probably say right now it's Dallas. And if that happens, there's no place for Deuce Vaughn in this at all. And even if Zeke doesn't return, I have a lot of trouble feeling that there was more than, change of pace, low end change of pace role, like 3, 4, 5 touches a game kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. We would need to see him take a massive step up to be really considered here for fantasy, but could definitely help that Dallas run offense, because I don't think it can really run all the way through Tony Pollard. I think they do need other options there.
Woo!
Yes, there we go. We've had some technical issues this morning.
Sting like a bee. I like this shirt. You like this shirt?
Yeah.
Little Muhammad Ali.
Very nice. Yeah, no doubt. Who doesn't love Muhammad?
I don't wear it that often. You know how sometimes you have, and I know we'll get into games. Sometimes you have, like, whether it's a T-shirt or a sweatshirt or whatever, that it's like that you personally think is really cool, but it's very noticeable. I think this T-shirt is pretty cool, but it's very noticeable. So I don't wear it that often.
No, I think it's a fine looking shirt. You should be proud.
Just fine looking? I think this is a really cool shirt.
Okay. I'm sorry to insult you.
Look, I'm very, look at that. It's a cool shirt.
It is. I agree with you. It's a great shirt.
No, you did. Yeah. See, now I like it better. You said great shirt now. First,
it's a fine shirt.
You called it the Mac Jones of T-shirts. I don't like that.
It's fine.
So you think this is a Mac Jonesian T-shirt?
No, it's better than Mac Jones. It's fine. It's okay.
Mac Jones is fine. You got to get a better word than fine.
It's fine.
All right. So it has taken us 8 months to sound like a married couple, by the way. You realize that, right?
It is fine. It's a nice shirt.
That's 100%. And I just I'm like, are you serious? You're only saying it's fine.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
And you're like, it's fine. Can we go? We're going to be late for dinner reservations. It's fine.
That's it.
You look good.
That's it.
Oh, I only look good? All right, I'm going to change then. And you're going to be late for your reservation.
We got Chris Ivy's going to join us top of the 11 o'clock hour. Sean Zerillo is going to join us at
I'm
11:30
going to show
this
Chris
morning.
this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Right.
I brought it downstairs. I'm going to show Chris this.
Oh, very nice.
All
You should
right.
walk around. You should put a chain on that. Just walk around town with that.
I'd get robbed. I don't want anybody to.
No, you live in a nice town. You have a sprinkler system now.
Ooh, it's working. We got all the
It is.
All the gravel is put in behind my house because we had to put a whole bunch of gravel, and we're putting like this travertine and stuff like that there. And I think more shrubbery is coming today. I don't know. We got a bunch of stuff going.
Baby J, I was joking around with Keith. I mean, just take it for what it is. I know the importance of Muhammad Ali.
Come on, Baby J. Know the bit. Bit.
Oh my
Baby
God.
J, you owe us a lot.
Don't be so sensitive. Your team won last night. Baby J knows it's over.
You think that's right?
Yeah, he knows it's over. He's cranky. He knows it's over.
Baby J, call in. We haven't heard from you in a while. Call in.
You know it's over, Baby J.
I want to hear you talk to Moose and talk Moose into why he says I know. Wait.
Yeah.
Do you know that it's over? Or do you know?
Yeah,
that
he knows it's over. He knows it's over.
Wow. Moose is Dylan Brooks today, poking bears.
No, I just think it is. Just like if the Lakers don't have Anthony Davis back, if the Lakers don't get Anthony Davis back for Game 6, that series will be over too.
All right, we got to talk about this because you thought the Warriors were going to win last night, right?
Yeah.
So did I. I thought the Warriors would win last night. I was hopeful that the Lakers would put together a valiant effort, and by the last couple of minutes of the second quarter, when the Warriors hit a few shots, ended up going in, I think it was they were up by 11 at the half when Steph hit that three-pointer. I literally said, well, this is good. I don't know if I'm going to have to stay up that late for this because this game is over. Like, I felt no confidence whatsoever in the Lakers. And then when AD got hit in the head, did you see the reports that apparently he needed to be taken out of the arena in a wheelchair?
Yeah, Chris Haynes had it.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that hitting in the head means wheelchair. Like, this felt very Paul Pierce-esque back in the day. But I'm not going to poo-poo what happened. Concussions do happen, and that's the fear right now, right? Because you tweak an ankle, you roll your ankle, you hurt a shoulder, whatever, you can get shot up with something and play. If he's in concussion protocol, Anthony Davis, I'm not saying that he is, but if he ends up in concussion protocol, Lakers ain't winning Game 6, and I'm saying it like that on purpose. And if they go back to Golden State, tied 3-3, Lakers are losing.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think he's there because he probably was suffering, concussion symptoms. I mean, that's why he was probably in the wheelchair. Or that, maybe, he had a massive headache, or he was having blurry vision, or he was having trouble gaining his balance, whatever it might be. And, it doesn't have to necessarily be the biggest hit in the world for somebody to suffer a concussion. It's just got to be in the right spot. And he gets an elbow. It wasn't done on purpose. It was just playing in the game and being physical, trying to go for a rebound. And Looney hits him with an elbow. And, he clearly obviously suffered the after effects of it. Listen, if they don't have Anthony Davis, who, you mentioned needs to be the best player in this series and is a matchup nightmare for the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers are going to lose. I mean, that's it. I mean, they're not going to win Game 6. And, even if, say, they lose Game 6 and go back to Golden State for a Game 7, say Anthony Davis then is back for the Lakers in a Game 7, the Lakers are not going to win a Game 7 in Golden State either.
No.
So that's why today's injury report for the Los Angeles Lakers is of key importance, especially if you're Keith and you've got a Lakers futures ticket. If you bet the Lakers to win this series, whatever it might be, that is a big time key. And I'm not, that's not making it, to be anything more than it is. I think it's the God's honest truth. I think if you ask any NBA insider, if you think that is going to be a huge thing, that's going to be a storyline here moving forward. And I would have to believe, and I'm not going to play, I'm not going to say that I'm a doctor. I'm not, we talk sports here on the Better Sports Network. I would not think that's necessarily a good sign that Anthony Davis is being wheelchaired, out of a particular area after getting a blow to the head last night in Game 5 of the series against the Golden State Warriors. So, I mean, maybe he didn't suffer a concussion. Maybe it was something that he wakes up this morning and it goes away. And I hope that's the case. I really do, because I don't want to all of a sudden look at it and think that this series changed because Anthony Davis was hurt. But yeah, I don't think the early indications are particularly good, or the early signs are particularly good that he's going to be available for tomorrow night. But we'll all find out together. Is this now? Even if Davis does play, can Golden State win tomorrow night? They can. I mean, they can. And I do think as that game went along last night, there was a group on the court for Golden State that was really, really successful. I think that Steve Kerr could probably roll out there. And that was, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Peyton, and I think it was who else was out there? DiVincenzo. To go along with Klay Thompson. I think that five, or to go along with Wiggins. It was Wiggins, Green, Curry, Peyton, and DiVincenzo that did some work last night. I was listening to the Warriors broadcast driving home from PIX, and Tom Tolbert was talking about how that group was working together really well, especially in the second half and that third quarter. I think that's something that maybe Steve Kerr found a group of five that can kind of connect a little bit here moving forward. We'll see. Golden State's got to shoot the ball well from the outside. Last night, they won a game at home in which they shot 37%. I think they only hit 2 3-pointers in the second half. They had 11 in the first half, only 2 in the second half, and still won that game by daylight by 15 and going away.
Okay, so I found a few concussion protocol stuff just that I'll get to in a second. But I thought that the reason why the Warriors were able to win last night, and the key to it, was the fact that they were actually aggressive. See, I know they're known as a 3-point shooting team, and they had the 7 3-pointers, I think it was, in the first half, and that definitely opened things up a little bit. But I thought it was the aggressiveness, honestly, of Draymond Green. The fact that I know he hit a 3 early on. I think it was actually the first shot of the game. But the fact that he was going to the cup, drawing fouls, forcing the Lakers to actually play real defense, not just perimeter defense, like in totality, full out team defense. And we've seen the drastic, stark difference in free throw shooting throughout this series. It's because the Lakers are a free throw team. They drive, they get fouled, they take free throws. They were top 5 in the NBA in those categories. The Warriors are not. The Warriors are usually pretty comfortable, kick, 3, 3, 3, 3. And that's kind of how they play the game. Last night, I felt like they played different. Remember, we talked about this a lot. This is going to be a chess match between these two teams, and most notably, maybe a chess match between the coaches, right? Darvin Ham won the chess match in game number 4, right? Yeah, game 4. And then it was, Kerr winning the chess match last night in game 5 to keep the team alive. So it's really going to be about how they keep bouncing back and forth at each other. My initial thought is, and I know we'll do a full breakdown tomorrow of the upcoming game 6. My initial feeling, my gut is Warriors will end up winning game 6. That's my gut right now as I sit here at 10:45 a.m. Eastern time on a Thursday.
Yeah, we'll get more into it tomorrow. I'm not so sure. I want to find out exactly what Anthony Davis. I could see that about Golden State for sure. And I think if you're a Laker fan, you're clearly a little bit nervous going into a game 6, even with that one being at home.
Yeah.
And the health or the availability of Anthony Davis is going to be a big time key. How about the 2 game 6s we're going to get tonight? The Suns facing elimination, they're home. The Celtics facing elimination, they're on the road. Let's start in the Eastern Conference, Keith. Boston on the road in Philadelphia. The Celtics are 2.5-point road favorites, and the total in the game is 212.5.
So what I thought was interesting when these lines came out is that both of the teams that have their backs against the wall are considered the favorites, right? The Celtics and the Suns tonight. Everything would lead you to believe that Boston has to figure this out, right? Like, on paper, they're the better team. They've got, Jason Tatum just got named first-team All-NBA. Jaylen Brown got named second-team All-NBA. Derek White was on the All-Defensive team. Marcus Smart was the Defensive Player of the Year last year. Al Horford is a guy that's, played forever, great team player. Malcolm Brogdon was the 6th man of the year. All of these things lead you to believe that the Boston Celtics should win. I think Philly wins tonight. I think it's over. I think Philly wins tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, you might just I think Greg Anthony sent this tweet out the other day. Philly just might be better. Something doesn't seem right with Boston.
Yeah.
Hasn't for quite some time, whether you look at the inexperience of the head coach in Missoula, whether, has relying on the 3-point shot as they are, whether it be not putting Williams and Horford on the court at the same time because they're unbelievable defensively down low, especially when you're dealing with a guy like Joel Embiid. They lost game 1 of this series when Embiid didn't play and Harden was brilliant, which stunned everybody. Everyone's just kind of assumed this was going to be Boston's year and Boston's team. And maybe they just got to go through all of this in order to be better for it next year. I mean, I don't know. It just, Keith, I like Boston before the series started against Philadelphia. I don't think they're going to get out of Philadelphia alive tonight. I don't. I mean, maybe do you get a Tatum performance like he had in Milwaukee last year on the road? It's going to take that and probably a little bit more. Philadelphia won on the road in Game 5 in this series, and I'll be honest with you, it's not like they played this unbelievably brilliant game. I mean, they really didn't. I mean, Maxey went off. He had himself a game. Harden scored, I think, 19 or 17 points in the game. Joel Embiid was good. Boston couldn't knock down the outside shot. They're going to need Tatum and Brown to play to, all NBA levels tonight. And they're going to have to be better defensively. And you're going to have to see Missoula make some adjustments here. But I agree with you. I don't love the game just because of the unknown of Boston. They're so Jekyll and Hyde. They really are. I would probably tell you, I think Philadelphia wins the matchup tonight and wins this series and advances on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm with you.
You can get the money line there for plus 118 on FanDuel for the Sixers if you want.
And I think the Nuggets are going to end it tonight in Phoenix against the Suns.
I kind of feel the same way too, but I'm waiting for the Kevin Durant game because he's been really, really good this series, right? There's been nothing special about Durant this series. I'm waiting for the Durant game. So if we get the Durant game where he goes off for, 41 points, 39 points, something like that, grabs 10 rebounds, gets you 6 or 7 assists. Like if he gets one of those, maybe they find a way. But actually, if you did that, if you just for fun, if you did Sixers and Nuggets together, if you think they're going to win tonight, I got to close that out really fast. That'd get you up to almost 4-1 odds. If you think both of those two teams are going to win tonight. Plus 388.
Right. I have more confidence in Denver than I do Boston.
Yeah.
Than I do Philly.
Philly, yes. Yep.
I have more confidence in, I like Philadelphia tonight. I don't love Philadelphia.
Right.
I really think Denver is going to end the year tonight for Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean, I just do. I think the amount of minutes that Booker and Durant have logged, I think, and that's similar concern that I have of exactly how do the legs look for Jalen Brunson tomorrow night after playing 48 minutes last night in a Game 6 on the road in Miami. And as ESPN wants to tell us how hot it is down in Miami.
Very hot.
It really drains your energy. So it is very warm, no doubt about it, and very humid. And
terrible on my hair.
Right. And the bugs down there, they're like pterodactyls.
They are. Yeah.
They're huge.
They're massive.
No doubt about it.
Jurassic Park.
That's exactly right. So, but I think Jokic, Booker, I think Jokic is going to have one of those triple-double performances tonight on the road. You're going to need Booker to be Kobe Bryant tonight at home, and you're going to need Durant. Are they capable again of giving me 70 between the two of them, 75 to 80 points tonight? I don't know. I think with Murray, with Porter, with a little bit of Gordon, and throw in the brilliance of Jokic. And I also think Malone's a little bit better of a head coach than as well. Than Monty Williams. I just think Denver, even though they're not a particularly deep team, I don't know if you're going to get 27 points from Bruce Brown coming off the bench, but I'm going to take Denver tonight. I like the Nuggets as a road dog.
All right, I'm on Bet Stamp right now. Here we go. So Jokic, you said it, so I'll throw it out to you. For a triple-double for Jokic tonight, best odds we can get you is DraftKings plus 120. That's a triple-double for Jokic.
Okay.
And you mentioned that Devin Booker has to have a Kobe Bryant type of performance for them to win. Would that be over 32.5 points? Because if that's your number, Bet Rivers has the best number at minus 104. Some of the other books like DraftKings and FanDuel and BetMGM have a little bit of a different number. Like FanDuel, if you want to go over 31.5, it's minus 125. Oh, BetMGM also.
I don't know. Well, I would take Booker over points. I think
Right.
even if
So
I would take Booker over points.
maybe
Denver
look at
wins
his
tonight.
3-pointers too. Booker over 2.5 3-point. They juiced it up.
What's Murray tonight for point total?
I'm going to guess 23.5 is my guess. Let's see. Yeah. Whoa, I nailed it. 23.5.
There you go.
DraftKings
I'd
minus
take
125.
over Jamal Murray points tonight.
Okay. If you want to go 1 point higher to get less juice on it, 24.5 on FanDuel at minus 104 for Murray.
Yeah, I wouldn't split. I would probably take the better number. I would take the better lower point total. I would take the 23.5.
Can we come up with a player prop? Hold on. Type of parlay that we might be able to do, right? So if we're going to go to the Nuggets and the Suns. I'm going to do a same game parlay. Okay. Let's do 20 guys to score 25 or more points. Devin Booker going to top 25.
Yes.
Jokic over 25.
Yes.
All right. And then you wanted to play it safer with the over 20 for Jamal Murray.
Yes.
And what do you want for Durant? Over 25?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
Let's just see where that gets us. So we have all 4 stars, okay? Only gets us to plus 128. Really doesn't do much for you. All right, but that's why this is fun, right? Because you can kind of check that stuff out. So the way we laid it out, Moose, it would be Booker 25 or more, Jokic 25 or more, Durant 25 or more, and Murray gets you 20. And that would get you to plus 128.
Beautiful.
I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's enough bang for your buck. Not sure. What else could I add to this to make us happy? For a same game parlay, is there anything with rebound you could get? And I think this is fun. This would be like a fun one. I don't really see anything else I love necessarily. I mean, I guess we could throw in rebounds for like a Jokic, something like that.
I don't know. I think sometimes if you get a little bit too cute, you end up losing.
Yeah. But if you believe that Jokic is going to get a triple-double, you can't add a triple-double into the parlay. But if you added Jokic, why is my screen frozen? Come on. There you go. If you added Jokic to get 10 rebounds, and I can add Jokic to get 10 assists, so essentially I'm saying that he gets a triple-double, that now gets us to plus 365.
Okay.
If you believe Jokic is getting a triple-double.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily believe he's going to get a triple-double. Right. I love Denver to win. I would go Booker over. I would go Murray over, and I'd take Denver to win. That's where I would go. I think Denver's winning tonight. I love the Nuggets tonight.
I mean, if you wanted to go nuts with this parlay then, all right, so some of your stuff, some of my stuff. Booker over 25, Jokic over 25, Murray over 20, Durant over 25, Nuggets win, and then you've got Jokic 10 rebounds and Jokic 10 assists. Gets us up to plus 794. It's a lot of things to happen, though.
A little bang for the buck, no doubt.
A lot of things to happen.
I'll talk about money. How about, by the way, just completely while we're talking about basketball, this is of the college variety.
Okay.
I know we got a guest coming out your way, top of the 11 o'clock hour. But did you have any issue with Hunter Dickinson coming out and basically saying the reason why he's now a Kansas Jayhawk is because of the NIL deal that he got to be a Kansas Jayhawk? I mean, it's just a sign of the times. Right. It is what it is. What did he get? Like $750,000, I believe, to be a
fair chunk of money.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, he's getting paid. But the amazing thing when he was at Michigan, he said he couldn't get a 6-figure deal.
Yeah. I think there's going to be
second-team All-American.
Weird. I think there's going to be some universities and boosters really that are a part of it that are going to be a little bit more hesitant to get involved in the high-priced NIL deals. And those are going to be universities that over the next 2 or 3 years fall a little bit behind. They're going to be the schools that you think would have been
Wild West.
Yeah,
now
it's got to be. Just pay everybody.
I mean, it always has been. Let's be honest. College athletics has been extremely dirty.
We all saw blue chips, yes.
And I don't know about true that, but Division I college athletics men's we're talking about when you're looking at basketball and football has been extremely dirty over the years. So all of that, where backroom deals, bags of money, all of that kind of stuff, apartments, getting, homes and jobs for family members, all of those things. Like that is all happened. Now it's happening above board. I just can't believe that people are shocked. Like there have been people like where people are like, oh my God, well, this is now pay for play. No doubt. Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, if you're in university, if you're the Kansas Jayhawks, let me ask you this. If Hunter Dickinson next year helps you win a national championship, is that going to mean more people are going to want to go to Kansas? Yeah, you've seen it time and time again. They've done studies where teams have where universities have equated, big time college athletic success with an uptick in enrollment in that university the following year. So I mean, the university, I mean, they get it, they understand it, they all want to win. So good for Hunter Dickinson. I don't know what he's going to be as a pro, to be honest with you. I really don't. But as a college player, he's a very, very good college player. He's the best one in the transfer portal, and he's going to get paid nearly $750,000 to be a Kansas Jayhawk.
Have you ever gotten a bag of money, a bag of cash? I want a bag of cash handed to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, not like that. Not like that. No,
but just like the kind of bag where it's like you open it up. I'm not saying that it's like
from
hundreds
a bookie,
of thousands.
Yes.
Yeah, you did?
Yes.
I never have.
Yeah. A long time ago. It's not that when I was a single man.
It was a different world.
It was a different world.
It was a different moose.
It was a different world, had less responsibilities. Like that's not like it just.
I would love to get handed a bag.
It was cash. Just you were able to bet money a little bit more and be a little looser, and that was good and bad, honestly. Because I've handed over bags of money.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah. Now it's more like.
Yes,
Donna, what do we need to pay for Gregory's hockey?
That's exactly right. No doubt about it. It's a different world. That is a long time ago. That is it feels like a lifetime ago, but not to the level of that. No.
By the way, have we still have not totally told everybody what's going on tomorrow, right? With you and
no, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
I do not like your odds. I think that was terrible.
Oh, we got more odds that have been placed out there. Why?
There's more now?
We'll get into the Sportscasters Derby. We'll do that in hour number 2. Chris Ivy is going to join us next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Thursday right here, Better Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glauber, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. And I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafalo. So I went with it, got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave. Because, like, accuracy to me is really important. So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I'm hunched over. And I just, like, literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Polamalu. And Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Polamalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafalo's name on there. I had
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories. So.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Better Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either. Like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him, so I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, you know, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player, so he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft, so he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this, he hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle, so maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Better Sports Network.
We're back. Yes, we are. I want to do something. Hold on. Can I do something for you?
Sure.
I got this just for you. All right, just for you. Everyone, just hold on. We're all good. I'm gonna do this.
There you go.
I know we were having some tech issues, so I wanted to play music for you.
Very nice.
And it was a clean song too.
Very nice.
I got a bunch of stuff. And Miami kind of wishes that this guy was still around. Tyler Hero. You know, he's got a name. He's got a song.
Does he?
Yeah, it's by Jack Harlow. It's called Tyler Hero.
Oh, very.
Yes.
Who knew?
I did.
Very nice.
Do you have any music playlists for your boys?
No, I do not.
We do. We have a playlist.
Okay.
It's only clean songs.
Right.
Almost all rap. There's a few like random non-rap songs in there. Like there's some like Ed Sheeran in there that we like. Kid Laroi, Justin Bieber, Imagine Dragons is on there. But now, so have you gotten to the point, do your boys have any music that they like to listen to on the ride to a game?
Like some Rocky stuff and Tsunami.
What's Tsunami?
You know it. They used to play it at Ranger games when Lundqvist was the goalie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So Alex lately has been listening to, do you remember the guy Bone Crusher?
No.
Probably not, right?
No.
Big, huge dude. It's called Never Scared. I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared, like that. It's great. And it's so cute to listen to an 8-year-old with this like squeaky voice going, I ain't never scared. Like it's awesome, right? And Austin, his is Hate Me Now. Nas
that's
and
another
Puff
good
Puff
one.
Daddy.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We got a bunch of stuff in there. It's fun.
Good.
It's
yeah.
good.
No, I got to do that. I got to create the playlist.
I mean, you could create a calendar too. Yeah.
Yes. It's all on the to-do list.
Yes. You still can't believe 8 months later you haven't made the calendar.
To do. It's all up on the to-do.
Do you want me to put it in the notes that I shared with you?
No. I'm still working on it. It's just a matter of having the time. Oh my God. I'm all over the place.
What?
I'm all over the place. By the way, we've got some NFL schedules come out tonight.
Yeah. What do you think of all this?
As far as what? What aspect of it?
So, I mean, you essentially work, quasi for the NFL because of your NFL shows that you do. And
right.
I work for CBS, which is, quasi I'm working for the NFL. So I'm definitely no bad mouthing here. I find it fascinating though. It's actually more of like the networks, I guess, that are pushing it. So who's doing the release tonight? Is it ESPN doing the release tonight? The schedule release?
I thought it was like ESPN, NFL Network kind of dealer's choice.
I think it's everything, but it's just such an odd thing. And I guess it goes to show you that the NFL really does like reign supreme. The fact that, I mean, we know some of the games already. We have a good sense. If you know anybody on the inside of any of this, like you could probably figure out what your schedule is going to be and all this kind of stuff. Yet there's going to be this big hubbub tonight and we're going to like unveil a schedule. I find it fascinating that people are even like buying into this because people are going to watch tonight. Oh yeah, they're going to watch.
Oh yeah, but I mean, a lot of it'll be out even before you get to it. Like
Yeah.
you've already had a couple of announcements. Number one, the first Monday Night Football game is going to be Jets Bills at MetLife Stadium. Troy Aikman announced that this morning, I believe, on Good Morning America.
Yep.
So
And
I
the
mean, that is
Chiefs and Lions are opening the
Chiefs
season,
and
right?
Lions are going to be on Thursday night. Robert
Yeah.
Kraft also announced that Tom Brady is going to be at the home opener for the New England Patriots.
He's playing?
No, not
They
playing.
signed him?
Yes, he'll be there up in he'll be up there in the box, and he's going to be there for the New England Patriots for sure. But think about that Monday night game. If you're a Jet fan, get used to it. Where it's going to be Aaron Rodgers taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that is just for Monday Night Football for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I mean, that is just going to be some scene at MetLife Stadium. First Monday Night Football game of the year. Rodgers, Allen, Jersey, early September. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Always fantastic stuff. All right, we'll break down the NFL schedule a little bit later as well. Chris Ivey going to join us now. First time we're getting him on the program. Heritage Sports, Director of Sports Auctions. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All good. He is Mark Malusis. I'm Keith Irizarry. Thank you for stopping by the show. So I'm going to just start with this, okay? What do you think of this? Can you see this? All right. So this is autographed. Okay.
Okay.
This was LeBron. LeBron James wrote number 23, King James, LBJ. Sebastian Telfair signed it also. I got this when I was 21 and LeBron was 17.
Oh, wow.
I played basketball with LeBron. We were shooting around together at Fairleigh Dickinson at the ABCD camp. And it was right around the eBay time when people were trying to sell all of his stuff and he wasn't signing anything.
Yeah.
I'm good at basketball, not great or anything like that, but he respected me, dapped him up at the end of everything. I was like, yo, this is really cheesy, but I have your Slam magazine in my bag. Would you sign it for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I've had this now, whatever it is, 21, 22 years. What do you think of that?
I love it. You know what's cool to me is I love collecting signatures, like young signatures, like rookie era signatures for these players. I have a personal collection. I love early Jordan signatures from 85, 86, because his signature changed throughout the years. This piece is really cool. It's one of his first covers. It's several thousand, more than 1,500, probably less than $5,000, but somewhere in there.
Nice. Yeah, I would. Yeah. And it's funny because I've had people say
Chris, this is what I've he basically for every guest he brings out that.
That's not true.
It's not just you, Chris. And then he puts a chain around it and walks around his town with it.
I mean, that part.
And then
is true.
he goes gets bagels in the morning.
Yes.
And he tells, listen, I dapped up LeBron. Here's his signature.
Yeah.
And then the next question be like, people ask, who the hell's Sebastian Telfair?
Did that screw it up? Telfair's autograph on there change the price.
Can you get a wet wipe and take Telfair's autograph off of that?
Hey, there's not too many people that can claim to have played with LeBron, so that's pretty cool.
There you go.
That's awesome.
How did you get into the sports collectibles business first, and then we'll get into everything that you guys have coming up this week.
Yeah. No, this is this is my life's hobby, right? I'm really lucky to be in this business. My father was a coin dealer when I grew up. I would go to coin shows with him, and I would always work my way to the back corner where the sports collectibles were. When I was just a kid, I remember, playing soccer on a Saturday, and with one of my best friends, we were done and we walked into a convenience store, and he introduced me to the card aisle, and we ripped open some packs of, Garbage Pail Kids and 1985 Tops. And I was hooked. I was immediately going to school, trading cards that week. And, Don Mattingly was my favorite player growing up. And so I love this business because there's no barrier to entry for kids. It's a fun thing. Kids grow up and they're following the athletes of their generation. I grew up Jordan, Mattingly, all those guys. Kids today are watching Mike Trout and LeBron James and Steph Curry. And from those interests, a lot of kids start collecting. And then when they collect the modern players, a lot of them start looking back into history. And that's how they learn the history of these games. That's how I learned about Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and Lou Gehrig, and how other kids learn about Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Jim Brown. So it's a lot of fun. And I went to school and was going to become a lawyer. And luckily, I had a path to. I decided that wasn't going to be for me, and I had a path to go work for a professional grading company named Sports Card Guarantee. I had worked for them for a year, learning how to grade baseball cards, and then made my way over to Heritage Auctions in the year 2000 and 2003. As Heritage was expanding into new categories, I went to the executive group here to expand into sports auctions. So that was 2003, 20 years ago. We did $2 million our first year, and the rest is history.
Well, Chris, I want to ask you kind of just a general statement on collecting do's and don'ts, because you're right. I mean, I remember going, to Nyack, New York. There was a card store called M&M's, and go in there and going through packs, spending like an hour through there and going through kind of random cards and finding players that, were your favorite growing up. I was also a huge Mattingly fan growing up, but there's also, it can be a really, really expensive hobby as well. Like you mentioned about the grading system, PSA, Beckett, there are people out there looking to take advantage of it too, where, they're able to trim the edge. Like there's a lot of things about do's and don'ts. So for those that are looking to get involved but look at it and say, my God, like it's overwhelming. Like what would be the advice for you Chris, being in the industry as long as you have? What would be the advice for those that are just starting out, or their kids are interested in collecting Pokemon cards or whatever it might be? Like, what's the best way to kind of start it out to where you feel like you're getting the best bang for your buck, you're not getting ripped off and everything like that?
Step number one is collect what you love, right? I mean, it does. If it's something that brings you joy and that you, that you have fun with, then I think that's the key. And a lot of people want to collect people have different motivations for it. People try to put together, there's so many different genres and so many different types of pieces and items to collect. You don't necessarily need to have a huge budget to collect, but it certainly helps. And one of the ways that you can kind of build, and one of the fun things about it is that, if you learn about something, or if you learn about a niche or a particular part of the market, and you figure out a way to make money in that by selling that material, collectors can use that money to then buy parts of their collection or add to their collection. And that's what collectors are always doing, and myself included, is if you see a piece that you really want, it's like, okay, what part of my collection has appreciated that I can sell to acquire this other piece? So it's just a constantly evolving and building process.
So for you, Chris, like, is there an example of something that you had that was really valuable that you loved, but there was something else that you really wanted, that you were able to sell something and then add something that you really wanted to your collection?
Yeah. I mean, and for me, it's been a while since I did something like that, but I mean, I see it every day working with our clients, consigners and buyers. I mean, we have auctions closing this weekend that we're going to talk about, but there's pieces in there that I've had conversations with, with clients that, they're talking, they contact me and say, hey, I'm interested in this item. If I were to win it, what kind of rates could I get on consignment for these pieces and that type of thing. So people kind of plan ahead.
Gotcha.
And yeah. But, and as I said, as far as, it doesn't take a lot of money. It just depends. I mean, some aspects of it, a lot of this stuff has appreciated, right? I mean, I'm going to talk about pieces that are 5, 6 figures, 7 figures, in this marketplace, which is great because a lot of people are starting to look at this material as alternative assets and investment pieces, which I've always felt that this material is undervalued. This is a true market. There's no manipulation here. This is pure supply and demand, and the pieces that are condition rarities and just unique rarities, the market dictates. And as people understand this market and join it, we're seeing the prices increase. But to go back a little bit, there's parts of this market that you can get involved with that don't have significant value right now, but you can create value. So, for example, game used bats. 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of information out there for collectors about game used bats. So if collectors were willing to put in the work, do the due diligence, talk to the right dealers, you could create a game used bat collection, you know, for a few $1,000s that would be worth many multiples of that today. Same thing with original photos. Original photos didn't used to have significant value, and they used to just be throw-ins as extras to deals that you may be putting together. And in our last auction, we sold the Ty Cobb photo for over $500,000. I mean, that's a photo
That's
that would have
insane.
It is, and that's a photo that just 10 years ago probably would have traded hands for under $1,000.
Huh.
And you sold it for $500,000?
We did. It was a photo that was used for his 1914 Cracker Jack card.
Can I get anything for this?
Oh, here we go.
me and Allen Iverson. Can I get anything for that?
Very nice, very nice. I like it.
No,
but no,
he's like,
yet.
no.
Right. All right. So tell us a little bit about, you know, that Heritage Sports, you know, the auction, and you've got a pair of photo matched LeBron James rookie sneakers that are headlining the event.
Yes, these are really cool. And actually, this is an example of value that a collector generated by being in the right place at the right time. He bought these sneakers out of an auction 15 years ago, and they were initially marketed as 2003 LeBron James game worn sneakers. He was early in his career. He paid a few $1,000s for them. They were in his collection for a long time. He contacted us about 6 months ago. We went through the process of photo matching these sneakers. We used a third-party company. They went through every game in LeBron's rookie season where he wore these particular style of white Nikes, and we were able to photo match it to the second game in LeBron James's career.
Wow.
We've never seen the first game. The sneakers that came from his first game. I imagine he may still have them, or someone in his family may have them. They've never surfaced, but these are from the second game that LeBron James played in the NBA in 2003. He'd worked he's now the all-time leading scorer, and he was wearing these sneakers when he scored points 25 to 46.
Now what is that what is that going to go for, Chris?
We have them estimated at 150,000 plus. Currently they're sitting at 80,000, and they're going to close tomorrow night. The current auction is closing. We have 3 sessions. So session 1 is all sports cards. That's closing tonight. Memorabilia is closing tomorrow, and then we have our third final session closing on Saturday night. But yeah, these sneakers will be closing tomorrow night, and I imagine they'll be well above 100,000 when the final hammer falls.
Peel back the curtain. All right. So when people are like, I mean, we all know the old auctions would be like people raising paddles and stuff like that. How is everything done nowadays?
Well, we certainly used to do that, and Heritage Auctions, we're the largest collectibles auctioneer in the world, and we have over 40 collectible categories, and a majority of those categories still do the live auction. We have live auction and live bidding software. So we've merged that with technology, so you can be anywhere in the world on your iPhone, just like I am right now, and you can see and hear our auctioneer, and you can hit that bid button, and you can participate in the auction, a live auction. But for the sports collectibles, this market prefers extended bid auctions. So we adopted that platform about a decade ago, and the way that works is you have to have bid on an item. This auction's been open for 3 weeks, for example. Every item that you bid on at 10 p.m. tonight for session 1, it'll go into extended bidding, meaning that each lot will close on an individual basis. It has a 30-minute clock starting at 10 p.m. Central. And if no one bids from 10 to 10:30, that lot's closed. But every time someone does place a bid that's qualified for the extended bidding, that lot will extend another half hour. And the reason that we do that is it helps people kind of move around. In a live auction, you may be interested in 3 different pieces, and the way it works, if the bidding gets way out of hand, if you're waiting for a lot at the end of the auction and you have to bow out at a certain level, you could leave with all that money in your pocket that you had planned to spend. And what the extended bid allows you to do is kind of move that money around. If one lot gets too high, you can move on to another lot that's still open that you have interest in. And so we found that people really enjoy this closing style in sports auctions.
Oh, Chris, is there outside of the LeBron sneakers, is there another piece in this auction that you find to be like just really cool and different that you haven't
Is it
seen
the
before?
Pele stuff? Because I think the Pele stuff that I was reading about that sounds pretty awesome.
The Pele stuff is incredible. Yeah, I mean, that is material that came from his personal collection. He owned it. And then our consigners worked with him and had him sign everything. And this material was signed just 6 months ago, just right
Wow.
before he passed away, unfortunately. But it is incredible material from early on in his career. It's cards, it's memorabilia, it's jerseys that he received from other players. There's actually a Michael Jordan rookie sticker in there that Pele signed that he owned. It's just neat stuff like that. So anyone that's a soccer fan around the world, I mean, it's, the greatest of all time type players are seeing huge interest right now. Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, Wayne Gretzky, and Pele is certainly fits in the greatest of all time category.
Is there another piece?
Yeah, because I interrupted you with the Pele stuff. Yeah, was there something else that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, we have a piece. It's very interesting. It's a 1962 Topps display box. It came from a gentleman whose family used to own a convenience store, and they closed down in the 1960s, and they had basically just left it as it was, the storeroom and whatnot. And so they had all these original baseball cards. He had opened some through the decades, but he kept one box that he didn't open. And thank goodness he did, because this is the first example of a sealed 62 Topps wax box. There's 24 wax packs in that box that are completely original and authentic, and it's just like it was. It's a little time capsule. Our estimate on that was 100,000 plus. It's one of those estimates that we don't know how it's going to end up performing at auction. We know there's going to be a lot of interest, and right now it's currently sitting at 135,000. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it get to 200,000 or more tonight.
Wow, and that's the kind of thing where too you probably
insane.
Like that box. So how many packs of cards are in that box?
There's 24 packs of cards and
24.
5 cards and a stick of gum in each pack.
All right, so you're talking about over 100 cards in the box.
Oh yeah.
And now as an investor, if you're going to bid on this, you probably do all your due diligence and you try to figure out
what's the card you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Times.
What have you looked at that yet?
Yeah, so this is a first series box. Now, I will say that is a dangerous game. Because a lot of the cards as they came out of the factory in these vintage cards, they wouldn't be considered near mint or mint by today's standards just because of the centering or print defects on the surface. So, you could pull out a great card, a Roberto Clemente or a Mantle, but it could be like a 4 or 5 on the current grading scale. So you never know what kind you're going to pull out. And this is just a unique collectible because it is still sealed.
So do you think the person that buys that, Chris, do you think they actually open it? Or do you think they
doubt it. I doubt it.
So you think the person that buys it, they just keep it in there, they have like a display, whatever it might be, and be like, this is a 62 box of Topps that's just completely sealed. It's like going into a time capsule.
Exactly. And most people would keep it as it is, but believe it or not, we do have clients that that have enough money and that gives them enough enjoyment that they do open boxes like this and send cards in to the grading services to be authenticated. In this particular box, it's a first series. It's a series 1. Topps used to release their products over a series over the season. So this one would have players like Koufax, Clemente, Ernie Banks, Stengel, Brooks Robinson, Musial, Killebrew, but it doesn't have some of the big boys like Mantle or Mays, because those came out in later series that year.
Man, I would want to open it. I know you probably can't, but man, I would. All right. What about like other sports besides baseball? What are some of the bigger things that might be on the docket this auction?
Let's see. Besides baseball,
yeah, I feel like we've done a lot of baseball.
There's a lot of incredible baseball in this particular auction. We got a Musial jersey, a Ted Williams bat from his 1946 MVP season. But football, we've got some incredible material too. Super Bowl Super Bowl ring, 1995 Cowboys Super Bowl ring presented to linebacker Godfrey Miles. We have an Aaron Rodgers photo match jersey that he used in 2016 versus the Seahawks, and we have a Barry Sanders Pro Bowl helmet it's neat. It was consigned to us by a fellow Pro Bowl player, and he asked Barry for his helmet after the game. So this is from 1998. Sanders signed it for him. Very cool item.
Chris, last one for me. You mentioned Mattingly. Like, I was a huge Mattingly fan growing up. Want to ask you, what is your favorite Don Mattingly card in your collection?
I have a 1984 Topps Mattingly rookie that's signed by Mattingly, and that's my. I love collecting all the stuff that I liked or wanted as a kid, like all the late 70s up to early 90s kind of rookies. I'm trying to collect them all with autographs. So that even extends to like I've got Hulk Hogan and a Wayne Gretzky. And a lot of 86 Fleer basketball, those rookie guys. So I'm always looking for those, signed rookie cards, and I'm looking for them with ideally with rookie era signatures. Like one of my favorites, I have an 89 Donruss Ken Griffey Jr. Rookie card, but it's signed, and he actually dated it October 22nd, 1989, which I love because I haven't seen that before.
It's interesting, like, and Chris is what and my boys, they open up packs and then they basically destroy the cards, right? I mean, I try and look through the packs to see if there's any inserts or anything of value before they go destroy the cards, but the base cards, then you find them all over the place. But what I love about is I went to my dad's house. I used to collect kids' cards a lot as a kid. My uncle was a collector, and he used to do hobby shows in Queens and stuff like that. And he had an unbelievable collection. Him and my cousin Peter John went to my dad's house like 2 weeks ago and I have so many old cards. It's crazy. And opened up one of the boxes, and my oldest son Jackson started looking through them, and just seeing the kind of the joy on his face when he was opening up the cards. And there was like some Jeter cards and whatever, and they're in protected plastic. He's like, "Can I have it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you can have it. It's all yours." And this and that. Like, it takes you back to those times when you're whatever it might be, whether it be Keith playing pickup basketball or at the ABCD camp with LeBron James and whatever. It takes you back to a time in your life. Collectibles do that kind of it's really, and now to be able to live that through my son's eyes. I have 3 boys, and see them open up a pack of cards, and when they open up a hockey pack, they get a Connor McDavid. It's just awesome because it brings me back to when I was 8, 9, 10, opening up a pack of cards and getting a Ricky Henderson or a Don Mattingly or something like that. It's just great.
There's no
Collectibles
doubt.
are awesome.
Yeah, it really is, and it's interesting to see how it's evolving. Since the pandemic, shows have come back. There's a lot more shows on the schedule. There's a lot more people involved in collecting and participating, and even online, like what we're doing right now. There's a lot of online pack breaking, people participating. So you don't even have to. They use technology because there was a time, after the early '90s when the market, a lot of the stuff was overproduced. The market, really kind of hit the floor. It's kind of built back up. We lost a lot of hobby shops and people dispersed, but a lot of people are getting back into it because a little bit of the nostalgia, like you talked about, and because of technology and the ability to connect with people online and open packs and have fun with it. And that's the key. I mean, it's a hobby, right? Have fun with it. And but it also grows into people start looking at it, spending bigger money and look at it as investment, and that's true too.
Chris, last for me, what do you think of this one? So this is certified. This is authentic. It's Mattingly and Strawberry.
That's a mid '80s classic right there.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
that
two
is.
of the biggest guys that people were collecting and going after in the mid '80s, and New York icons. It's a very cool piece. The value's not crazy. I'd probably say $300 to $500, something like that for the signed dual photo, but it's a classic. I do love it.
Yeah, pretty cool. And my brother-in-law Chad actually had given this one to me when the pandemic started and I was going to be doing all these shows from home. He's like, I have a few pieces of memorabilia. You want them for like behind you when I was doing stuff in my upstairs instead of down here. So yeah, just wanted to show that to you. And you're a big Mattingly guy, so I thought you'd like it.
And Strawberry Mattingly, that is 1980s all over the place. Chris, you're awesome. We appreciate it. We got to get you on again soon. Good luck with everything. May 11th to the 13th, Heritage Sports Auctions. We talked about LeBron James' sneakers. They've got a lot of cool stuff. Keith mentioned the Pele stuff. The 1962 Series 1 sealed box of Topps cards. I mean, just all kinds of crazy cool stuff, and it brings back so many great memories. Chris, we appreciate it, man. Best of luck and have a great auction, all right?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
You got it. We'll come back.
Bye-bye.
Sean Zerillo will join the program. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Thursday right here, Better Sports Network.
Vegas Raiders have traded up to 35, and they give up the 38th overall pick. In addition, a 5th-round pick goes to Indianapolis as the Colts trade down. The pick is in. And Coop, your top 2 tight ends, best tight ends available, are now off the board as Michael Mayer is going to be the Darren Waller replacement in Las Vegas, catching balls from Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe somebody else in the future. But Michael Mayer is off the board. The Raiders have traded up, and I always look at this too from like dynasty fantasy football standpoint. I always like the guys that are traded up for. Michael Mayer gets traded up for as he is off the board now at pick 35. He goes to the Raiders. How does he fit in this system? Not only with Jimmy Garoppolo, but also Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, some significant pass catchers there, including Hunter Renfrow now.
Eric, I love that you pointed that out because that's the part of the draft that people forget when they're doing their analysis. They think about the draft capital, they think about the landing spot, they forget the draft narrative, right? This proves to us that the Raiders, at the very least, had Michael Mayer as high as Sam Laporta, or maybe even higher, because they're looking around and saying, all right, that guy's gone. We have to get this guy right now. And this guy probably is a better fit for what Josh McDaniel wants to do. He's used to Rob Gronkowski. He's used to Hunter Henry, these two-way tight ends that can block and run routes down the seam. Sam Laporta is not going to do that. He's only 240 pounds. This guy is your prototypical real-life tight end. That's why a lot of people were saying he's the best real tight end in the draft. Clearly, pass catching is at a premium. That's why Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta went first. But this guy's going to fit really well into that scheme. My question is, when does he become fantasy relevant? Because the vast majority of tight ends that are fantasy relevant are top 2 targets on their team, with Devontae Adams there and Jacoby Myers there,
that's not happening.
And Hunter Renfrow there. I mean, when does it happen, Moose? How long do we have to wait?
Yeah, forever. It might be a while. I mean, when you look at it, but I do think he's a great fit. All right, Moose and Keith back with you. Sean Zerillo is with us now. Oh, look at that, a little baseball. Fitting. It really is. Action Network, Sean is with. And he's been a guest of ours, and he's great. Sean, good morning. How are you, brother? Happy Thursday.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, cool guest you had before me, Chris Ivy. You know, I got back into the hobby over Thanksgiving, over the winter. So any hobby talk I can get in my life is great. And then, you know, the combination, right, of the gambling stuff, the way I bet futures, players I was looking to collect over the offseason. So I actually think there is sort of a blend between collecting guys I want to search for, guys I want to hold and then eventually sell, and also players I want to invest in from a futures perspective at the start of the season.
What have you gotten into?
Yordan Alvarez. I have a ton of Julio. Obviously, that is dipped. Going to end up holding that for a bit longer, see, get it graded, etc. But a lot of the Jets rookies, Brees, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson got before Sauce and Garrett got the Rookie of the Year. So probably going to get a lot of that stuff graded and maybe set up at a local show in August or September as people are getting back into football and looking to sell that back.
Yeah, and there's just, I mean, it's just exploded. Like sometimes I find myself on Instagram, I'll watch breaks of cards late at night when I get home, and you know, open up first off the line Prism cards and stuff like that. And a lot of it's the NFL, some a little baseball, maybe a little bit of basketball, but it's just fun. I mean, it just is. And when you're finding those inserts and whatever, and you could turn, you could make an $800-900 investment. You could pull a card that's worth like, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, something like that. It's crazy what you can do. And I think it's just fun, especially when you collect guys, Sean, like you were mentioning, those that you think are going to have, and getting in early, and investing in players that you think are going to have really great careers and kind of building up the collection that way.
Yeah, especially Bowman. Bowman 23 just came out. And I think in terms of long-term ROI ceiling on what you're looking to invest in, the Bowman product, if these guys end up becoming star major leaguers. I've got a blue refractor of Julio Rodriguez that when somebody pulled was probably worth a couple bucks. Now it's a $600 card. So not even an autographed refractor of Julio Rodriguez that's numbered to 150. It's a $600 card and
Phil
a PSA
Hughes?
9 holder.
I don't
It's
know if
pretty
he's-
crazy.
I don't know if he still doesn't. Doesn't Phil Hughes still do polls?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's huge into collectibles.
Yeah, he does it. He does it with a batting glove on and then the World Series ring over the batting glove. So I actually worry about the World Series ring nicking some of those trump cards. But yeah, Phil's got a good gig going.
So now with all of that though, if you're going to start, you're doing the collecting, do you try to use your connections to get these cards signed then? Are you trying to no? Okay. Shake your head right.
No, I'm not a in-person autograph guy. I generally, some cards I think look okay with the in-person autograph on them. Depends on the ink color they use or, where there's room on the card to sign it, right? But no, I'm generally a certified autograph hunter. I want something that was pack pulled with the autograph on it. There's just sticker autographs, that kind of thing, not as appealing to me as like the on-card certified auto. So we all have our preferences in the hobby. There's plenty of people that love the IPAs, but yeah, just not my thing as much.
We're talking to Sean Zerillo. Let's talk a little baseball, Sean, outside the collectibles. And what the Rays are doing right now in Tampa is, I don't think it's sustainable what they're doing, but how much back to the pack do you think Tampa comes in the American League East as this season rolls along?
Yeah, not sustainable, but deserved what they've done so far. You look at their run differential, their Pythagorean record. They have justified the record they've put up, but in terms of how they're getting to those runs, how they're preventing those runs, I think that's where the regression kicks in eventually. You look at expected weighted on base average versus actual weighted on base average, the difference between the walks, strikeouts, and quality of contact that they're getting and the actual results that they're producing, the Rays have overachieved as much as any team. They're around 18 points difference between their actual and expected production. The Yankees on the opposite end of that spectrum. There's about a 20-point difference in terms of the Yankees' actual mark and their expected mark to where they've underachieved. So both of these teams should eventually push closer to the middle. And the difference between the Rays and the Braves, which are the number 1 and number 2 teams offensively, in terms of actual production they put on the field, is as big as the gap between the Braves and like the 10th place team. So the Rays definitely have to come back to earth. What they're doing is certainly unsustainable. I don't know if they're carrying a 19% home run to fly ball rate, which you have to go back to like the 2019 season when MLB set records for home runs to find a team like the Yankees that year who were able to carry a home run to fly ball rate that high. I don't know if it's something with the juice baseballs and them playing in a dome and not having these early season weather effects really impacting them. But I've seen some balls get hit at the Trop where I thought it was going to be a routine fly to center field and it just kept going. Something odd going on with the baseballs in the Trop, I do think. But that said, it's not just their offense, their bullpen too. You look at strikeout minus walk rate and then expected FIP, which I think are two stats that are good leading indicators for how teams' bullpens are going to perform over the rest of the season. You would expect the Rays to be a top 5, top 10 team in those categories. They rank 27th and 28th. They're like just a touch above the Nationals, a tier above the A's in terms of strikeout minus walk rate and expected ERA or expected FIP. They're around a 4.7 expected FIP. So the Rays bullpen due for significant regression as well. Carrying a 240 batting average on balls in play, league average for that number is closer to 295. So a lot of ways in which the Rays are due to give up more runs, probably stop scoring as many runs. And yeah, I think at some point they catch a cold streak and they might be in the midst of one right now.
So one of the numbers, and actually it's something we're going to do on Better's Eye tonight. So the most first inning runs scored this year, the Rays 34, Braves 32, Angels 31, Dodgers 30. What do you do with that? Like, do you turn around and like, are you a Yurfie guy? Or are you into the Yurfie bets or no?
No, my biggest issue with the Yurfie and the Nerfie markets, and it goes back to a lot of my same reason why I don't bet spreads. Those markets just have too much juice in them. A lot of times at the money line, you'll see a 10-cent line or a 20-cent line. So a team will be a minus 125 favorite, and then the underdog will be plus 115 or plus 105 on the comeback. So about a 10 to 20 cent difference between those lines. In the Nerfie market or in the spreads market, generally you're seeing splits as high as 30, 40, 50 cents between those lines. So the book is taking like a 15, 20% tax on those markets. So it's extremely difficult to beat those markets with the amount of juice and the amount of vig that's in them. That's just generally why I don't get involved. We do have Billy Ward my friend and colleague who does MMA with me actually created a model this year to bet against nerfies and yerfies, and he's been doing pretty well with it. We have our data people like Sean Kerner, who does all of our NFL projections, working with him on it. So some really smart people we have working on a nerfie and yerfie model. But just, in terms of markets that have too much juice in them, I think spreads, the +1.5, -1.5 runs, and then also yerfies and nerfies. There's just a lot of juice, and it's a pretty high bar you have to overcome in order to beat them.
Sean, what have you had success with through the first 40 games here of the MLB season?
A lot of unders, and at the beginning of the year, overs were flying. But generally, I don't know why it is the case. It must be some way with how I built my model, what have you. When I bet overs, I struggle to get runs. When I bet unders, we hit it like a 59% clip, and that is really high.
That's great.
It's over a multiple year period now. For some reason, first 5 totals do not jive with me. I can get CLV on every first 5 total I bet. It doesn't matter. I'll lose by a half a run. We'll strand the runner on third. It'll be a leadoff double. We'll get to the run to third with 1 out. They'll hit what you think is a sac fly, and then the Marlins won't send the runner. And I'm just like, you're not going to get a hit. Just send the runner and run it to the out, please. The amount of times the Marlins have stranded the winning first 5 run for me on third base with less than 2 outs is, enough to make a person go insane. But it's my model is plugs in the starting pitchers, obviously, and then I give them a percentage of each game that they're going to pitch. But you never know specifically which relievers are going to come in. So it's easier to project first 5 lines. I think I'm more confident in putting a number on first 5 lines out there. And because of that, I think those projections and the market for that tends to be a little bit sharper, because the predictiveness which we can, assess which manager is going to bring in which reliever, you never know on a day-to-day basis. The Mets may bring in Jimmy Yacobonis in a type spot, and then all of a sudden I'm sweating it under. So yeah, it's first 5s, I think, is something that you can measure a bit more accurately, just because specifically who's going to be in the game. But that said, I don't find as many edges betting that market because it is tighter.
You've been coming on with Stryker and I over at Better's Eye on MLB for the last 3 years now, and we jokingly call you the Baja Man because of all your underdogs. How are the dogs treating you this season?
Yeah, the dogs in April were horrific. It was the worst start for underdogs in April since last year, but those are the 2 worst seasons that there have ever been for underdogs. Our database goes back to 2005, so I don't know what's happened before that. But in terms of that 15-year period, 17-year period, the last 2 seasons in April for underdogs have been the worst ever. Minus 14% ROI. If you bet $100 on every underdog at every game in April, you would have been down $5,700. So horrific. But you go back to 2021, and underdogs actually had a very successful month of April. So lends itself more to being variance. There's nothing I can really point to as to why underdogs are struggling to start the season. And then in May, underdogs are killing it. They're 72 and 62 in May, 23% ROI, $100 on every game on every underdog. You'd be up more than $3,000. So definitely crawling back some of that profit as underdogs start out the month really hot. We've been hot the past couple of days. I always get nervous when underdogs start doing well, and I'm having losing days because I'm like, I'm the guy betting the underdogs every day, and the underdogs are winning now. Why am I losing money or not getting profit? But yeah, the past couple of days have been good, and hopefully we can keep this going. It's not going to last forever. And, just as the talent gap widens between all of these organizations, I do think it's more of a have and have not sports environment, not just Major League Baseball, but all sports are just becoming more have versus have nots. So as teams become comfortable, fan bases become more comfortable with tanking and waiting till next year, I think we just see more good and more bad teams. But just with the amount of pitching injuries we're seeing as well throughout Major League Baseball, we might run out of Major League caliber pitching by the end of the season too. So might start seeing some major slugfests throughout the summer with the juice balls, with the weather heating up, and then with all of the Major League caliber pitchers disappearing and these AAA arms coming up, maybe some high scoring games down the stretch.
Sean, is there anything right now for our audience that if you're looking at team futures or really any futures markets that you think is a worthwhile investment right now?
Moose, curious about your take on this. So obviously anytime, and Keith, you as well, because we're all from the New York area, anytime, the Yankees start out 500 in April, the sky is falling, right? But I think the Mets are in much, much more danger of potentially missing the playoffs here. I know the AL East is loaded. The Red Sox being like the 5th team in the AL East is scary because all those teams can go over 500. So I think the Yankees have a more difficult path to making the playoffs, just given the teams around them. But in terms of how the Mets roster is shaping up, I don't think their offense is necessarily better than the Phillies or the Braves. Their bullpen definitely isn't. And their starting pitching is falling apart. Scherzer's probably not going to be healthy at any point this year. It's very unlikely. Even if he gets a cortisone shot, comes back, he may give them a few starts, but it's not going to be sort of this lasting effect. Verlander already got hurt this year, looks fine the past couple starts, but the likelihood that he gets hurt again is extremely high. And they don't really have the bullets in the minor leagues in terms of pitchers to bring up. They have, you could bring up Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos at some point, but that's not fixing your pitching. So do they trade hitting for pitching at some point? I would be devastated as a fan if somebody like Mauricio or Beatty or Alvarez gets dealt. Like, I've been waiting on these kids for years. So the Mets to miss the playoffs at plus 200 is starting to be of interest to me, but I would wait until next Monday or Tuesday. They play the Reds and the Nationals through the end of the weekend, and then it gets really tough in terms of the Mets schedule. I'm going to list off to you the series that they have over the next 6 weeks after Monday. They play the Rockies in Colorado. That's the only easy series they have. The other teams, Rays, Guardians, Blue Jays, Yankees, Astros, Braves, Phillies, Pirates, Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers. That's the Mets schedule from next Tuesday through the end of June. So the Mets miss the playoffs at plus 200. I would probably wait, as I said, until next Tuesday. Hopefully they get a few more wins. Hopefully that line gets over plus 200. But Fangraphs already has them missing the playoffs 40% of the time, which is about a plus 150 implied number. So getting them at plus 185, plus 200, I think is a solid bet.
What site do you have the plus 200 on right now?
So yesterday when I checked it, plus 185 at Caesars. I'm assuming it's going to be back there after when it was plus 210 2 days ago. Caesars generally leaves them up. DraftKings generally leaves them up. You have to look on a daily basis because they do adjust based on wins and losses. But like I said, I would wait, until after next Monday when they play that final game against the Nationals, and then the schedule's going to get really tough.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is, I think you encapsulated it well, Sean, in terms of the Mets have got an easier path, but I kind of trust the Yankees a little bit more. And that's even with, I have no idea when Carlos Rodon is going to start. Luis Severino has been a man of mystery. He's never, ever healthy. You got to deal with, when Stanton does come back, exactly, does he stay healthy? Getting Judge back this past Tuesday does help. And they looked really, really good against what is, an embarrassment of a franchise when you look at the Oakland Athletics. I don't understand. Like, they're 8-30 on the year. God bless the A's fans that are showing up to watch that team. They are an impossible watch. But the Yankees got healthy, as a lot of teams will on the Oakland A's. But I've never felt like the Yankees. I still think the Yankees are going to be a playoff team. When you look at the Mets, and you look at the lack of health in the rotation, I think Verlander is going to be fine. Like, I think he looked great last night, settled down. I know it's Cincinnati. I know the Reds are not good. Scherzer, we're going on now 3 years with Scherzer. Had the dead arm with the Dodgers. Last year wasn't healthy. Now he's dealing with multiple issues now. Missed his last start because of neck spasms. Talked about the fact he's been pitching through pain. And he's also had a drop off of about 2 miles per hour on his fastball as well this year.
So even going back to when they won the World Series, I think people forget, but he was supposed to start Game 5, woke up, couldn't lift his arm. They had to give him a cortisone shot, and then he came out and won Game 7 against the Astros. Then, as you mentioned in the playoffs with the Dodgers, couldn't make his start, couldn't make it to the end of the season. If he didn't have that pandemic-shortened season in 2020 where he was kind of forced to take a seat, it might have happened sooner, these injuries. And it might have actually saved the Mets a bunch of money because maybe they wouldn't have signed him if he was already hurt. But the Mets need Verlander to be healthy, right? Like, you're assuming he's going to be healthy, but they sort of need him to be healthy. Senga's actually really struggled with his command so far starting today. Curious to see if he eventually gets better as he adjusts to the Major League Baseball and these Major League hitters and Major League umpires in the strike zone. But Joe Lucchesi at the bottom of the rotation, Tyler McGill hasn't looked the same in a couple of years. They just don't have these bullets that they can, sort of throw up for the minor leagues, like teams like the Dodgers do, being able to try out, top prospects like Gavin Stone at the major league level. They don't really have this high end minor league pitching that I think they can replace what they have here currently. So unless Quintana, Carrasco get back healthy, unless they trade hitting for pitching, I don't like the way the Mets season is trending. And I think they're, on a collision path to paying Ohtani $500 million this offseason.
Well, that would be pretty awesome for all you Mets fans, I think. How have you attacked the stolen base market?
Yeah, not something I bet. Just stolen base props are kind of hard to find. Only a couple of books really put them out. And I really can't get down much on them. Noah Syndergaard is a guy who I'm always like,
Yeah,
who
same
will
here.
let me bet stolen base props against Noah Syndergaard, please? But it's not even like that I'm betting players to get steals. It's more so how I factored in speed into my model. Like the matchup between the Diamondbacks and the Giants today, for example. I don't believe these two teams have played each other, but just in terms of the opposite ends of the spectrum that I put them at, in terms of base running and defensive quality, the Giants were the worst defensive team in baseball last year. The Diamondbacks are the number 1 team this year in terms of defensive runs saved. The Giants are, I believe, also 26th this year, so they haven't really improved much. But also the speed combination. You look at the guys the Giants have in the corners, like especially versus a left-handed pitcher, J.D. Davis, Michael Conforto, Mitch Haniger, Wilmer Flores. It's stiff, right? It's this like slow, stiff, older archetype. The best analogy I can make to it is sort of like modern MMA, where we have these fighters who were kids coming up, watching MMA, training only MMA, fighting guys who were these specialists who were like a kickboxer who transitioned to MMA later in life. And to me, the Giants are kind of at that, like, they're built to win the old way stage, where they have a lot of power bats at the corners and they want to just hit 3-run home runs and kind of beat you that way and have a decent bullpen. But you really do need to be built for the modern game, which requires speed and defense and flexibility, and guys like Corbin Carroll who can sort of blend this power and speed. And I think the Diamondbacks have a lot more players who are built to win in modern baseball. Even the way their pitching is built, guys like Brandon Pfaadt, who generate a ton of strikeouts, a lot of 3 true outcomes pitchers. That's the opposite of what teams like the Cardinals have, because the Cardinals can't strike anybody out and they're reliant on getting outs on balls put in play. So the Cardinals, the Giants, guys like Logan Webb, Alex Cobb, they're going to get hurt more by the lack of shifting, the poor defense behind them, more balls being in play than teams who can strike out more people. So the Diamondbacks, I just think, are built better to win under the new rules. And I think any of these matchups they have with the Giants, they're going to have an advantage, just athletically because of that. And there are some hidden measurements in there. Like it's the situations where you have a runner on first and second, 1 out, no outs, and you bounce a pitch in the dirt and they advance both bases. And now all of a sudden you have 2 guys in scoring position instead of 1. Like Diamondbacks do that to you regularly. They force you to make mistakes defensively because you feel their speed and you have to rush throws. So there's this cumulative effect that you can't really put on paper, but watching the games, I see it. And the Diamondbacks absolutely torture people if you can't throw them out.
Sean, which team do you have more concern about right now, Astros or Padres, with the starts they've gotten off to?
Well, the Astros, the injuries with Garcia and Altuve, I would imagine they'll be fine eventually. I just don't like the way their organization is trending in terms of the top down. They seem to be going back more towards scouting, and getting rid of James Click was weird. Apparently he staked his entire career on Jake Myers being their regular center fielder, and they called his bluff on it and fired him. But I don't like the fact that they're replacing an analytics guy or 2 analytics guys, Lunau and Click, with scouting guys and Jeff Bagwell consulting. It's really weird. So the Astros should be fine now. They have plenty of pitching depth. Hunter Brown being their number 5 starter is kind of wild. They've had to dip into the minors, Belak, JP France. They have enough depth where they should be safe to get to October, especially because I'm lower on teams like the Mariners. The Padres, though, too, they're only 3.5 games behind the Dodgers, and they're the same price as they were at the start of the season to win the NL West. So I would actually surprise you and say I'm more skeptical of the Astros just because I think the Rangers got better. I like the Angels as a divisional. Yeah, I like the Angels as a 10-1 divisional bet at the start of the season. They're, as long as they have Ohtani and Trout with the guys they added around them this year, I think they can remain competitive. So I actually do probably like the Padres over the rest of the season a bit more, just in terms of like where their divisional price is. The Astros, you have to lay minus money. The Padres, you get plus 140. But you're also betting the Padres essentially minus 3.5 games over the rest of the season against the Dodgers at plus 140. So it's almost like a spread that you're playing if you're playing their divisional bet at this point, because they have a deficit to make up. But yeah, I'm not particularly concerned about either team. I think both are pretty safe to make it to October. But in terms of actual upside, I might actually prefer the Padres roster, because I think if everything is clicking by the end of the year and with their willingness to add pieces, I expect them to be a serious contender in October.
we don't do a lot of UFC on this show. So anything big coming up this weekend we should be paying attention to?
No, you know, the fights have honestly been a bit stale lately.
Okay.
You know, happy to see Aljamain Sterling get the belt last weekend, but they're throwing out a lot of heavyweight main events and 115-pound women's main events that people aren't like particularly interested in. They throw a lot of heavyweights that these fights are destined to go like 7.5 minutes, and nobody cares if it's a 5-round fight because it doesn't need to be 5-round fights. So very odd scheduling, honestly, by the UFC lately. I think they've gotten a little too comfortable with the brand they've built up, and I would expect them to shake things up at some point soon because these Apex shows have gotten old. Doing it in the quiet arena in Las Vegas, obviously, it saves them a ton of money, but yeah, I would actually expect people to see the UFC like shake something up soon because it's not just me who's saying it. There's a lot of people who are saying it's gotten a little bit stale, but I just enjoy betting on the fights. You know, I've talked with you guys about this before. I'm able to quantify baseball. So there's so many people who are able to quantify baseball like to a 10th of a percentage point, right? A fight is something that I enjoy trying to quantify, but once you get punched in the face, anything can happen. So I enjoy the aspect of like the difficulty of like handicapping.
Yeah.
And also like you know, I do horse racing too. And there's a lot of like comparison between horse racing and MMA in terms of like jumping up or down in class or like, you know, you measuring one thing relative to another that's nowhere near on the same level as anything else. So it's kind of a fun sport to handicap, but
we have about
the interest is actually dying down at the moment.
Did you have Mage in the Derby?
Oh, I didn't want to get started on Mage. So my initial reaction when
Did you do that to him? We have 40
we
seconds
got like
left
30
of the show.
seconds. We got to get John.
I gave out Mage on the show. I said it was my gut reaction, and then I let other people talk me off the horse by the end of the week. The Curse of Apollo, until Justified, no horse who had only started running at 3 years old had won the Kentucky Derby. Kings Barnes and Mage had that curse on them going into the Derby. I think I let it get the best of me. I had him underneath, but I didn't have it on top.
Oh.
Once Forte got scratched, if I had just swapped in Mage instead of Forte, it would have been a very profitable day. But listen, I had Mandaloon a couple of years ago. I'm still owed my big Derby day. I'm going to keep waiting on it, but it's going to come one here.
Sean, you're the best. We got to go. We're out of time. We'll see everyone tomorrow.
Guys, always love talking to you. Thank you for having me.